Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, a mail day, and a mail day like no other, because to wrap up 2020, I made some pretty big moves. Needless to say, with 2020, it has been a wild and wacky year, and I think it's safe to say that across the board, we have seen price increases in practically every single set, from vintage to modern. Literally, even the stuff in stores on shelves right now is being sold online for a premium. So with that said, I figured what better way to wrap up the year than to show you some of the purchases that I have made in give or take the most recent month and a half, and really just kind of take you through some of the major players in the market and some of the forces that are driving these prices, and also obviously show you what I have added to my collection since I did my last video, because it honestly has been a minute. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. The other cool thing about today's video is that it is going to be diverse. I have everything from sealed product to booster boxes to PSA cards to raw modern cards. So there's a little bit of everything here in today's video. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and kick it off. I think everyone should recognize these two cards right away. So these are the basically chase cards out of Champion's Path, Pokemon's first 0.5 set for the Sword and Shield era. Long story short, I ended up caving and buying these cards because I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the heart anymore to do what I needed to do, and I opted instead to go ahead and purchase both of these cards. I ended up picking these cards up for actually not that much money. It only cost me about $500 to pick these two cards up, which honestly is surprising, but here's the thing. These cards, when they first came out, were selling for a pretty wicked premium, about $400 to $500 a piece. And then they have since kind of tapered off, and now we're at a point where, fortunately, you can purchase these cards for about the same as a Burning Shadows Charizard. Now, my theory is that they will continue to go down in price, and they'll probably stagnate at a certain point, and then we'll probably see them start heading upwards again. The problem with these cards, and SM Pratt has covered this in pretty significant detail, but the problem with these cards is that there has been an influx of the graded versions of these cards as well. So I bought these for my binders, and I think, long term you should probably keep some Champion's Path around, if anything, because it's fun to open up. But I don't think these are going to be the most highly investable Charizard cards you can get on the market. Obviously, there are tons of different ones that are far more investable. These are honestly just purchased so that I can put them in my binder and call it a day. So those are the first two things on the sort of on the mail day video. As you can see, both of them are in pretty decent condition. I wouldn't expect anything less of cards that are literally from the most recent set. And the reason that I'm not being dramatic and putting these in card savers and blah 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 is because both of these are just going immediately into a binder. I did have some thicker sleeves, so I believe these aren't penny sleeves. These are technically the 3mm thick sleeves or something like that. They feel thicker than normal penny sleeves. So that's why, given that they are premium cards, I figured I would do that. The only other thing is that when I got these cards, they were in a top loader and had kind of shifted up a little bit. So there's actually maybe a little bit of edge wear if you hold it the right way. So as a result, I figured, again, these are great binder cards. And hopefully in the long run that binder would become worth a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things I really couldn't care less, because I just want them to fill my binder. And honestly, opening Champion's Path is expensive and irresponsible at this point, if you can even find it. And so I figure it's probably just safer to buy them, call it quits. I bought them, I know what I get. If I pull another one, I'll probably get it graded. Now, next up we have a Lugia Vivid Voltage staff promo. So this isn't actually a Lugia itself. These are all 4 of the staff promos, and what's cool about it is that this is the set that has the Charizard in it as well. So that's one thing to bear in mind. So Vivid Voltage, when it was open for pre-release and they kind of let it be known, there would be a Lugia pre-release, there'd be a Donphan, there would be a Snorlax, and there would be a Charizard. And obviously, because it's a Charizard, there's a lot of fanfare about it. But what's also really cool is that, of course, you do get the Lugia as well. So there's actually two really highly sought after Pokemon being featured as pre-release Pokemon for the stamped cards. And as you can see, the stamp is right there, very similar to the way EX cards had a stamp on them. They kind of continued the trend, but only in these pre-release promos. And then what's also really cool is that they do have this staff insignia right here. So this is the back of it as well. As you can see, this is still sealed. So right here you have the English Sword and Shield 04 pre-release staff card. This is what the back of it looks like, and this is how it would be given out. So basically stores get these and can give them away to their staff as they see fit. Now what's interesting about this is that there have been rumors, and I will leave it up on the video as to whether or not it has been confirmed at the time the video is being released, but there are like pretty big rumors about them stopping staff cards. The reason for this is because there's been a lot of drama over staff cards and their value as it relates to the aftermarket. So basically what ends up happening is some stores are actually not giving out their staff cards when they release them from Pokemon because they realize they can list these on eBay. And fun fact, these go for $1,000. So this pack of 4 cards is literally selling for $1,000 at a point on eBay, and even higher than that. And because of that, a lot of stores weren't giving these out. What they were doing is just kind of sitting on them and then, you know, not letting staff get them. So Pokemon may actually be discontinuing staff cards. So you'll still see these cards released in the pre-release boxes, but what'll happen is that you won't see the staff variant of the cards because they don't want to artificially inflate the market in any way, and the best way of doing that is just not giving these out. So what's interesting about this set and what's really significant about these particular cards from Vivid Voltage is that they may very well be the last staff cards to ever come out, and that may, again, in the future, make these a little bit more valuable as a sealed set. Originally, I had intended to go ahead and get these graded, mainly because I wanted the Lugia, the Snorlax, and the Charizard. But when I heard wind of this whole idea of maybe stopping production of these in general, I thought it would be cool to also keep these sealed and maybe just buy the Lugia and the Charizard, since those are the ones that I would want as PSA 10s anyway. Speaking of PSA cards, next up, I have 3 PSA cards that I picked up. So the first one is going to be a PSA 9 Milotic EX from EX Emerald. This is one of my favorite EX Pokemon cards. It is definitely really unique, really pretty. It's Milotic, right? So the whole idea is that it's supposed to be this really pretty, amazing Pokemon, and obviously this card really kind of shows it off. This is what people are talking about when they say that EX Emerald is really like a stunning set, and all of the EX era cards are really just good-looking, beautiful Pokemon cards that are very highly underrated. The problem with these cards is that they can be incredibly difficult to grade because of the edging. So this edging is literally pure holographic, as is the card itself, even though it's a darker background and you can't see it. And as a result of that, the front of this card can be miserable when it comes to getting it graded. The back of this card, and oh look, I even put the price there. The back of this card is pretty crispy as well. So I have to assume it's something on the front that kind of causes this to get a 9, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, it's just one of those things. Like, I'm happy it got a 9. Maybe one day if I'm adventurous, I can crack it and regrade it. As you can see, it's a really, really recent cert. We're only in, I believe, the 5.1s now. So having a 4.8 means this was probably graded sometime this year, as a matter of fact, given the way PSA has been producing. So a relatively recently graded card and a beautiful specimen, to say the least. Having a PSA 9, I only paid $511 for it. As you can see, the price is on the sticker right there. But what's cool about that is I'm totally fine with that, given that some people are asking crazy amounts of money for a PSA 10. Next up, I have this Lugia EX from EX Unseen Forces. This is another one of those cards that I have a feeling greatly underrated. One, because it's an EX era card, and two, because with the recent moves that certain Lugia cards have made, it has basically brought the Pokemon species into the next level, kinda on par with Charizards. So effectively, what that means is that cards that have the same Pokemon on it, Lugia, are probably going to be a little bit more expensive now, because obviously a Lugia sold for over $100,000 at a PWCC auction. So there's no real coincidence why there's this many Lugias on screen right now. It's obviously, at least in part, driven by my want to really go ahead and invest in some really cool Lugia cards now while they're still relatively affordable. This one I purchased for $506.25. Won this fella at auction, and I think as of right now, the card has sort of increased in value almost immediately. So it's kind of funny, but you know, this year, and this has been said by tons of folks, SM Pratt, GNZ, and now me, but you could literally buy something by accident and probably end up making a profit on it. How much of a profit you made really just depended on, you know, what you bought and how lucky you got, but realistically, you didn't really have to try hard this year in order to get something good. As is characteristic with pretty much any other EX card, obviously it got a 9 for probably the slightest scratch, but given how easy it is to scratch those cards, probably not difficult. Here's something that I grabbed out of my bin, but I'm not necessarily sure if I've ever shown off on a video before. So this is a Typhlosion EX, also a PSA 9. It kind of came in at the same time. This card doesn't have a price on the back of it. I know I paid $2,400 for it, and I had some eBay bucks that I used to knock it down. I figured I would throw it up here on screen right now because you may have already seen this card, wink wink, in my previous video where we held this card and actually all three of these cards under a magnifying glass, or rather under a microscope, in order to show them off to you. So obviously some really interesting, you know, little defects were seen in that video. I would definitely recommend going and checking it out. To my knowledge, and again, I could be very wrong about this, and I'm hoping someone corrects me if I am, but it's the only time it's been done on YouTube, which I thought was pretty cool. It would allow, you know, the Pokemon community to really get some interesting insight into why certain cards got certain grades and how tiny, and sometimes not tiny, defects need to be in order for cards to get a PSA 9. So if you haven't already, go check out that video. It's kind of spoiler-ish because technically you saw all of these cards there, but I figured different videos reach different people, so I definitely wanted to be cognizant of that and kind of make a way for them to tie in together. Now, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and grab these and put them off to the side along with everything else. And now we're moving into the big hitters of the video. Obviously, everything so far has totaled very, you know, maybe like $2,000 in total. But here is something that I bought earlier this year that I don't necessarily know many people are going to get to say they were able to do it. This is a sealed Heart Gold and Soul Silver booster box. So Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and if you're a fan of Instagram, I have posted this, so it's not like this was technically a secret to anybody, but it's something that I didn't get to show off as of yet, so I'm doing that now. Heart Gold and Soul Silver was the launch of Generation 4, so chronologically it came after Power Keepers, and it was like a little bit, actually no, it didn't come after Power Keepers, it came after the EX era, and it was basically like the Gen 2 remake. So it kind of coincided with the video game that launched for Generation 4, along with Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, and obviously it was a really, really interesting time because, you know, Silver and Gold are two of the most highly loved Pokemon games in the history of Pokemon, and so having the booster box kind of coincide with that, it was also pretty liked, and then in addition to that, it's now probably one of the most highly sought after sets for a variety of reasons. So within this booster box, we have a chance at pulling quite a different variety of cards, but probably the most important will be the legend cards. Now, why am I making that speculation? The legend cards are some of the most notoriously difficult cards to get graded because their entire surface is holographic, which is technically even worse than EX era cards. And in addition to that, we do have some other ultra rare cards that can be pulled. So this set is going to go down in the memory of a lot of people for two pretty big reasons. One is it coincides with Generation 2 and the games and kind of drags up all the nostalgia invested in that. And I think that's going to make this box something that's very highly demanded and sought after in the future. And then in addition to that, the set itself contains some beautiful artwork, and more importantly, those ultra rares, which I think in the future have a really, really good chance at spiking in value, mainly because a lot of people kind of are sleeping on them right now. I just saw 2 auctions end where you could buy matching top and bottom sets, PSA 10, for under like 410, 415 US, which means those cards are relatively affordable. May I remind everyone that Gold Star Rayquaza is a $30,000 card. So I think a lot of folks are very keen to seeing what the next card that's going to behave like that is going to be. And I think in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be a set like this, not necessarily the Diamond Pearl or the Platinum era, because honestly they were kind of lacking in many ways. They had the level X cards and, you know, not really much else. But with the introduction of Prime cards, the Generation 2 starters being available, the Legend cards in this generation of Heart Gold, Soul Silver, whether it be Undaunted or Unleashed or just the base set, I think there's a lot to love about this set of cards, and I think there's a pretty good upside. Just in terms of the box itself, obviously I've kind of been holding it in this pattern because I think this is absolutely gorgeous and that camera shot looks great. But obviously Ho-Oh is a legendary Pokemon and is on the front of this box, which is actually kind of rare in the grand scheme of the design of booster boxes. Additionally, you have Lugia on the top, and again, we were just speaking about Lugia, and I don't think it's a coincidence that this box is being highly sought after now, and there's a Lugia on the top of the box. You do have a Donphan, which I personally like. I think he's a cool Pokemon. On the back, you also have Ampharos, and then there's also, wouldn't you know it, an Ampharos on this side. This is also one of the boxes that kind of marks the transition from the sort of downward facing booster box to like this standing up booster box. So the way that this is oriented is like a modern set of Pokemon cards. I have a box of Vivid Voltage right here to demonstrate. You would literally take this, pick it up, push it down in the back, and the packs are sort of available to you on a vertical basis. They're kind of standing upright like this, versus in the past with like EX era and anything prior to that, WotC era, the booster box is technically oriented like this, and packs are laid out horizontally for you. So I think that's also really cool because you're not going to see many booster boxes that look like this, that are oriented this way, that are going to be worth, you know, $10,000 plus. But this booster box I did purchase before it spiked in value. Well, what can I say? There's tons of different YouTubers clamoring to open sets of this. In addition to that, a lot of the private community is also doing the same. And then quite a few people kind of threw their hat in there, or, you know, were open to offers and said, hey, if you have a Heart Gold Soul Silver box, hit me up because I want to buy it. And I think because of that, the price spiked. I think it's now comfortably over $10,000, but I purchased this for somewhere a little less than that, which I think is pretty cool. Sort of like, you know, readily easy and simple to kind of purchase. But in the grand scheme of things, you don't see too many of these floating around on the internet. I believe there's only one on eBay right now, and then after that, who knows when the next time we'll see one of these go up for auction. A lot of this stuff is just disappearing into private collections and never surfacing again, or it's only surfacing when there are additional questions about whether or not I can sell this for a stupid high amount of money. Don't be surprised if this is a $20,000 box one of these days. And now, finally but not least, our last item for the night will be arguably one of the rarest non-Wizards of the Coast boxes in the world. It is a EX Dragon set. That is right, friends. Of course, I had to wrap up the year by working towards my goal of completing a full EX era booster box collection with the purchase of this box. I am now 13 out of 16 boxes there. So the only other boxes I would need are Legend Maker, Sandstorm, and Hold-On Phantoms. Of course, if you know anyone who has any of those, feel free to let me know. I am kind of close to a deal on a Hold-On box, but I mean, we'll see how that goes, because the way the market is behaving currently, it's on a slight decline as of the time of the release of this video, but obviously can't take that for granted. So I don't know, how it's going to end up playing out. Obviously, you all will be the first to know via either here or on Instagram if I end up sealing the deal for that box. But in the grand scheme of things, pretty cool. So this Dragon box, pretty dope. It's the first time that Pokemon realistically acknowledged the idea of Dragon-type Pokemon. Prior to this, they had been colorless, and they will all still be colorless in this set. That's one of the benchmarks of the set, is that every Dragon-type Pokemon that we saw in the third generation of games ended up being a colorless type Pokemon here in this set. In the future, for things like Delta Species and Hold-On Phantoms, we'll see Dragon-type Pokemon get all sorts of different typings just based on, anything that they wanted to kind of type on. Latios is blue, so they might give it a Lati, like a blue, like a water typing. And this is actually something that they've done. Same thing with the fire type Latias. So, but what's really cool about this is that they actually acknowledge, like, hey, there are dragon Pokemon in the TCG. We're just not going to screw the meta up just yet by introducing that as a typing as they would in the black and white era. On the side, you have, pretty big logo EX Dragon. You got the Lati twins again. On the side, you have Rayquaza, which again, a big thing for Generation 3 was this legendary Pokemon, so definitely something cool. Interestingly enough, take your game to new heights. Rise above the competition with powerful EX Dragon Pokemon. They take flight for the first time in the Pokemon E-Trading card game, introducing all new game and deck building strategies, capture and train them all and swoop in for victory. This set contains over 95 cards, blah blah blah. One thing to notice, you got the official Nintendo seal of quality right there, and these are e-reader cards as well. So this was, I believe, only the second set in the 16 sets for the EX era of Pokemon. You got an Absol on this side, by the way, and then the bottom is right here. But what's cool is that this is still one of the sets that has the E-Series cards in it. Obviously, it was released in 2003. And one thing I will note, one thing that I'm a huge stickler for that no one seems to care about, but something that I like to point out, is that these are for sale in North America. The other versions of this box, the quote-unquote international versions, will say something to the effect of for sale outside of North America or for sale outside of Japan. And that's how you know whether you have a US variant of the box, meaning it was intended for sale here in the States, or not. As of right now, 13 out of 16 boxes that I own, all of them are the US variant. I don't know if anyone even cares about that, but I think just by happy coincidence, when I was starting to collect this stuff, it ended up just being a situation where I was like, okay, I'll just buy them. And then by coincidence, almost like literally every single one of them had the US variant stamp on it. So at this point, I'm kind of committed to finishing all of the sets like that. But honestly, with some of these boxes, they are so rare, so hard, and so tough to come by that it can be incredibly difficult to be picky and choosy. It's very much a beggars can't be choosers type of situation, because honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to see another one of these boxes ever again. So it's really difficult sometimes to pass up on one of these boxes, whether it's international or not, just purely based on the fact that some of these EX boxes likely have fewer in circulation and fewer in existence than some of the WotC era stuff that we're seeing traded around. That box, the one that is currently up there for sale, is on eBay right now for $29,000. So just let that sink in. I paid something less than that, so I'm definitely happy that I transacted with a reasonable person who wasn't crazy and wasn't asking $30,000 for a booster box believe it or not, there are people out there. And the thing is, and the reason that I say it's a little crazy isn't because I don't think it's worth it. I think these boxes are each going to go for $60,000 in the future, mark my words. And by the way, when I say future, I don't mean February 2021. I'm talking like 2050. But the thing is that unless you have a clearly evidenced, change and growth strategy, it can be difficult to put a price on these boxes. The thing with first edition base set is that if they're selling every single week, obviously you're going to have the ability to track eBay auctions and see how prices are rising. With EX Dragon, there was one listed and it kind of went down. Then there was one sold privately and you don't even know. And now there's just some guy purely speculatively listing at $29,000. You don't know if that's the price, and you won't know what it's worth until someone either buys it at that price or convinces the person who listed to lower their price. So the problem with these boxes is that I think they're worth tons. I just don't know how much they're worth because there's so few of them that we very rarely ever see sales. And if we do see sales, they're likely going to be private, or at least not publicly viewable, something like an eBay auction. In the future, we might be lucky to see something like that. I'm very interested to see how that goes. I know right now there's a Deoxys box on sale, or not on sale, rather. There's a person putting an option out there. He will pay $100,000 for a Deoxys box, and nothing has come up yet. So it's crazy because folks like myself, the PokeJew, I guess PokeRev as well, because I know he has one, and I believe Cool Trainer Ryan, are the four of us, and Whale EX on Instagram. I think the five of us have EX Deoxys booster boxes. There's also one listed on eBay. So other than the 6 boxes that I can count of that I know of, let's double that number for the sake of saying there's that many more people with private boxes, and let's round that up to 20. There might be 20 boxes of that in the world because it just wasn't that highly printed a set, and $100,000 isn't enough for some of us, for all of us as it seems, because no one has made an active effort to respond to that auction. So interestingly enough, something to keep your eye on. Again, $29,000 question mark TBD. I think it'll be worth a lot more in the future once people continue to research and learn about these boxes and how rare they are. But in the meantime, friends, thanks again for checking out today's video. Went on a little bit of a preachy, waxing philosophical in the back, but I mean, hey, totally fun. The good news is that it's definitely been a lot of fun in 2020. Obviously, today is Christmas Eve, so I'm wishing all of you folks celebrating Christmas Eve a happy and healthy holiday season. Of course, happy holidays to everyone celebrating all other holidays that may not be today, but maybe around this time of the year. I definitely hope you enjoy, and of course, happy and safe holiday season to you as well. The good news is that I do also get to put these in my binder, so I'm also very excited about that. That'll be something, and I'll probably do like a Champions Path big bonanza opening if my GameStop ETBs ever pull up. But other than that, I'm hoping that I can at least complete the set and call it a day. Honestly, I'm not a fan of it. And then of course the EX cards are just gonna go in my EX collection, so that's pretty fun. But friends, thanks again for checking out today's video. Like I said, we put a PSA graded Pokemon card under a microscope. Don't think that's ever happened on YouTube. You should definitely go check it out. Video went live this past Tuesday, and then this Saturday we'll do some PSA graded returns, just kind of keep it a chill week while everyone's observing their holidays and being with family and friends, etc., and hopefully staying safe. But thanks again for checking out today's video, friends. I wish you all the best. Have a great, happy holiday season. Of course, be safe, and we'll talk soon. Peace.